we're almost, I'm in the city, so I can't really do too much. I don't want to go to jail. So first impressions, I actually really enjoy this truck. I drove it about 130, 140 miles down here from Connecticut, and it's a real treat. The one thing I really enjoy is how comfortable it is. I like the design on this interior. I think that it's clean, it's classy, it's not overdone. The entire deck has leather stitching. There's not much plastic other than the obvious, but again, we're not going to be like every other reviewer about the plastic. Plastic is a pretty relevant part of cars, Although when you're spending 80 grand, I don't think you want to see too much of it. As for the center dash, right here, it's classic Maserati design. It's pretty much the same look throughout the whole 2017-18 line. Gauges are functional, they work. They're very clear. The cruise control, I used it yesterday. I didn't notice any radar cruise, which would have been cool. Radar cruise makes it to where you can pretty much go through stop and go traffic without really touching the gas or the brake. So I didn't notice that. That was kind of a letdown. But it has this really cool thing called hill descent mode. And hill descent just allows you it'll engine brake or slow down by itself to control the car should you be inclined to take this $78,000 truck off-road, which I don't know if I would do that. Paddle shifters, I like that they're not on the steering wheel. They're aluminum from what they feel like. They're very strong. The steering wheel is comfortable. There's no flat bottom. It is a Maserati, but it's not a race car, so I'm thankful that they're practical here. The switches are the same across the board as in all the new Maseratis. They're pretty much borrowed switches from some type of Dodge somewhere, which I think is kind of annoying, but whatever. The clock is cool. I think a blue back face would have been neat, but again, the classy look. It's better to be safe than sorry. You have speakers everywhere, and they are quite clean in their sound, very clear. Safety is important. Side curtain airbags, adjustable seat belt harness thing, whatever. So right here, I don't know if you could gauge how big that is, but you could fit a lot in here. And if you turn, get the focus. That's on, off. So that's air cooled, which is pretty neat. And of course you have your switch for your 12 volt. There's two 12 volt switches, as well as an auxiliary wire cord, an SD slot, and a USB. Pretty good. And right here you have your voice activation.
Canceled.
Cancel, okay. I don't know what you're typing, but you could pretty much control, let's see, what the car is doing. So, miles per hour, all that good stuff. As we go to here, this controls the trunk. I think this is garage door openers right here. You can preset them for your house. I think up to 3. Your weeding lights. At night they're pretty bright. I give them effort. This opens up the sunroof. So this closes. So it's automatic. That's pretty neat. And it opens pretty big. So the settings down here, you have traction control off. So stability off, but we don't want that because we don't want to be drifting. Manual mode, where you could shift it yourself. You know, up 1, 2, whatever. You have ice, which limits traction and power, increases efficiency. Sport, this is the fun button. This opens the butterfly valves and makes it to where it's loud and pokey. The truck does really love to go, and we'll see that later in the video. And then off-road mode, I would say so far that this truck rides like a car. The only time you notice that it's a truck or a small SUV is when you're trying to do car-like things, which I wouldn't recommend. But when I say it's eager to take off, it's very, very eager to take off. It's very quick. It's punchy. The suspension's compliant. Everything in this truck, I think, was well thought of. Because I like Maserati. I understand there's a lot of kickback from them because of their shoddy reliability. But I have no issues with them, to be honest, myself. I like their touchscreen. The screen is fast. It's intuitive. It doesn't take too long to do anything. So, you want to get out of there, you go back to the home button. Let's go to navigation. Where to, address, and so forth. We're not going to do all that because it's time consuming. Phone, do you want to connect a phone? No, we're not doing that. I like to bring you a perspective, and that's just a regular consumer. What is the first impressions when you sit in a truck like this? And although the seats are, in my opinion, plain Jane, I don't really think they're anything special. They hold you. They're designed for today's, growing countries. They're made for someone who might be a little heavier. But if you're smaller, it still gets the job done as well by holding you in place. I mean, they're not racing buckets. If you drive spirited, you're definitely going to be thrown around a little bit. But again, this is a Maserati SUV, not a Maserati sports car. It's on the same chassis as the Ghibli, so it does have a short turning radius as well as car-like handling. So to me, that is a huge plus. The other thing I noticed is this thing does pretty decently on fuel. If you have children, you don't want them to put the window down, then you can control the window yourself, but they can't. I like that Maserati hasn't abandoned analog switches because, touch screens tend to break. I'm a fan of physically pushing a button and it doing something. So you could either manually control the climate, the sync, and all that good stuff, or you could just do it from the touchscreen. So I'm happy that they have that, and I kind of feel that they also did it just to fill space in, because what are you gonna have without this? I mean, it's just gonna look like a boring box or an empty space. But look at this. This is like a secret compartment in here. Can you believe that there's actually, I don't know if you can see it, but there's actually something that goes all the way in there. And what's funny is last night I lost my Easy Pass in it. That's how big it is. So if you have something you want to hide and no one find, you definitely will find this portion very, very useful. I appreciate the little touches, little chrome finish. If you want to unlock the door, you hit this piece right here. Spacing, how the person sit up front. Now the back space is non-existent. Just kidding. Actually, the person in front is pretty disrespectful and they have the seat back. But if we put it in a normal position, The back actually is pretty roomy, so we're gonna do that real quick. Put it up. I think that's a normal size. And we'll put it up to about here. So we'll just say I'm the passenger. Pretty ample room. I'm not crowded. My knees are nowhere near the dash. You know, I'm 5'10", so I have plenty of headroom. So let's go to the back. So there's little slots right here. I think that's pretty cool. Back here, charging port. How cool is that? So you can charge your phone separate, and you have this piece here, which I think is really cool. So it's completely autonomous from the front, so they could do what they want. Unfortunately, you can't control the dual, like you can't control the climate from back here, which is a little bit of a bummer, but hey, listen. For an entry-level sports SUV, I think this is just fine. Now, if we're nitpicking, we would complain about silly things like that. Your little Maserati emblem, because you know, when you spend $80,000, people need to know you spent $80,000. I like that there's no release button, because typically in high-end cars they break. So I like the cheapness of Fiat, where they just decided we're not doing that. So something as simple as that, really easy. Let's go for, where is it usually? Oh, look what we have here. The same motor you could find in the Ghibli, this truck, and the Quattroporte. Now there's two variants of this engine, makes plenty of power. It's very, very smooth. So driving this thing in sport mode in an inner city is like cutting the springs on your Honda Civic. It rides terribly. The truck drops probably an extra 2.5 inches maybe, but this thing, I wouldn't recommend riding it in sport mode. It is terrible. The suspension feels like somebody's stabbing your back. Let's put it in manual mode. Let's control the transmission ourselves. Listen to that engine. What a wonderful sound. You can never, ever, ever get tired of that sound. It's just a wonderful sound. Now for the fun part. Nice. Very nice. As you saw, there was a little bit of turbo lag, but that's to be expected. But once it's in boost, this thing goes. Very, very, very pokey engine. Very smooth. Transmission shifts on point with no hesitation. So I'm very pleased with the performance aspect of this little thing. Again, it's a really, really fun truck to drive. You know, but this thing really, really is a hoot to drive around. And I can appreciate that, because if you're forced to compromise and choose an SUV over the Ghibli, and the Ghibli's a blast, but the problem with the Ghibli is it's low to the ground. I mean, I live in the Northeast, and I don't know if you see, I know you're not going to be able to make these out, but just take my word for it. These roads are absolute garbage. It's like driving on the moon. There's potholes, there's craters, you know, there's all sorts of stuff in the way that's going to inevitably blow your tires out, ruin your suspension, and worse, probably cause an accident. So what's the next thing you do? You buy this. You still want to look nice. You still want to show off a little bit. So you choose an SUV that has the same performance or similar to its I don't know, little brother. I don't know why people give cars cousins names and all that stuff, but whatever you want to call this, it's on the Ghibli chassis, so it's essentially a big Ghibli with truck tires. So with that being said, look, I just ate a pothole, and you know, the truck is okay. I'm not suggesting hit them deliberately, But unlike Ghibli, you're not going to have a bent rim after hitting one. I'll assure you that. So, my impressions are, if you are in the market for a nice exotic luxury vehicle and you don't want to burn the bag, then the Maserati is definitely your choice. Yes, you do have the Porsche Cayenne, which is a strong argument. I think the Porsche looks better. It's faster. It handles better. But most people who buy vehicles in this category buy it because of what the name is and how it makes you feel when you drive it. And the gearheads like myself, who are number junkies, take a small part of the market up. So people aren't buying this truck because it's a performance vehicle. They buy it because it's a status symbol without blowing the bag, which is the whole purpose of buying this vehicle. Are there vehicles out here that do better? Is the Jeep Trackhawk 10 times faster? Of course it is. But you're not going to show up to this high-end dinner in Greenwich in a Jeep Trackhawk. People aren't going to take two looks at you because it's just a Grand Cherokee with a big engine in it. But this vehicle gives you the entire package. It gives you luxury, it gives you comfort, it gives you a little bit of sporty behavior without ODing. It gives you a little off-road behavior should you feel inclined to go camping with it. But you're buying this because you want to make a statement and you don't want to be broke while doing it. I think the Maserati name is the best name you could have when budgeting while balling. And with that being said, thank you for watching. Make sure you hit the subscription button below, and I'll see you for the next video.